So, hello and welcome. My name's Steve Nobel, and today I'm speaking with Katrina Love Senn on losing weight as a healing journey. Katrina is an international yoga teacher, retreat leader, healer, and author of 2 books. Her first book is called Losing Weight is a Healing Journey, and her second book is Heal Emotional Eating for Good. She is the creator of a Yoga for Weight Loss DVD, which has been published on many popular wellness websites. Just a few days before her 20th birthday, Katrina had a complete body breakdown, and her doctor wanted to put her on experimental medication. Something within her just said, no, there's another way. Instead, chose her own healing journey and lost over 60 pounds naturally without diets, drugs, or deprivation, and went on to heal all of her chronic health conditions, including asthma and eczema. So today she helps people lose weight, heal emotional eating, and start living their dreams through her books, meditation programs, one-to-one sessions, and also she runs 21-day weight loss retreats in Bali. Her website is katrinalovesenn.com. Hi, Katrina.
Hi, Steve. Nice to speak with you.
Yeah. Well, it's quite something, isn't it? You had a complete body breakdown and you were going to be put on experimental medication. Can you just say something about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, sort of growing up, I grew up in a small farming community, and I was pretty much allergic to everything. So I was allergic to grasses and dust and pollen and animals. And so I had like quite serious allergies right from a young age. And even growing up, I started to develop asthma and eczema. And I was in and out of my doctor's office with creams and potions and pills and drugs, all the way through my childhood and teenage years. And I had at university, I had a complete body breakdown. I was kind of just pushing myself too much. I was working 2 part-time jobs. I was at university studying, doing a marketing honours degree, and I just was saying yes to everything, and I was just kind of pushing myself too much. And my body breakdown, it was almost like I wasn't listening to my body, so my body just said, hey, if you won't stop, we're going to stop you. And so, yeah, I had a complete body breakdown. I went to bed one night feeling just normal, and woke up the next day and literally couldn't get out of bed. My eyes were glued together. My body was all swollen. I just had zero energy. And it wasn't as if there hadn't been warning signs along the way, but I hadn't listened to them. Yeah, so when I went to the doctor, she wanted to put me on experimental medication, but something within me just said, no, Don't take the medication. There is another way. For the first time, I really heard this inner voice. So I was sort of faced with this big decision, like, do I trust my doctor, who I had been trusting for all the years many years up to that point, but all they've really been able to do is just give me stronger and stronger medication. Yeah. And that had resulted in, obviously, weight gain as well as unwanted side effects. And I just, when I heard this voice, I just thought, no, I'm not going to take that medication. And I made the choice to start my own healing journey.
And we're all grateful for it. I just got to say that I've known Katrina for many years, and so when I see some of the pictures of her as a younger person with this huge weight gain, it's incredible. It looks like you're not the same person, really, but there we are.
Yeah.
So a lot of people talk about losing weight, this diet, that diet, but you're talking about it as a healing journey. How is weight loss a healing journey?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. As you say, like a lot of people think of, I want to lose weight or go on a diet. And most diets are typically eat less and exercise more. Well, I was the sort of person that loved food and hated exercise. So the idea of going on a diet was just like my worst nightmare. I had like a passion for food ever since I was younger and wasn't really into team sports. So the idea of dieting was just like, well, that's obviously not really going to work for me for very long. Yeah. But what I really discovered on my healing journey was, as I started to heal my body, my mind, and my emotions, then the weight started to fall off naturally. Right. And I wasn't really focused on losing weight at that point. All I was focused on was getting well. When my body broke down, I was sleeping for up to 20 hours a day and just had zero energy. I mean, the idea of exercising was impossible. I couldn't even literally get out of bed. Yeah. And so I was just focused on getting well on my healing journey and getting my energy back and getting back to my life. But as I really started to eat differently, and as I started my healing journey, I met a healing guide, and she was wonderful. She really helped me to think differently about my body, and I really started to understand that it's so much more than just about eating less and exercising more. There's the outer world, healing our body, but there's this whole inner world, this rich terrain within us of our thoughts and our feelings, our beliefs and our self-talk, and the relationship that we have with our bodies and with ourselves. And I think that's where the dieting paradigm just totally falls down. I mean, it's commonly accepted that 95% of diets fail. And you think if we're a parent and you're looking at sending your child to a school and you knew that there was a 95% failure rate, it's like,
would you send them there? No.
Would you send them there? Exactly.
Yeah. Let me ask you, is weight loss as a healing journey particularly relevant for highly sensitive people and empathic people?
Well, I think the answer to that is definitely yes. The healing journey is really about increasing our own levels of self-awareness, like getting to know ourselves as a person. Often we're not necessarily taught who we are as a human being. We're born into a family, and our family conditions us into how they are and their beliefs, and maybe depending if you're the first child or the second child or the third child born, or you're the baby of the family, we get these identities at a very young age, and then from there we go to school and maybe get labelled again as being the brainy one, or being the sporty person, or being the funny person, and we take on all these different identities as we go through our life. But the healing journey is really about actually breaking free of all of that conditioning and starting to come back to ourselves. So the healing journey it's a whole process of releasing the things that don't serve us physically, mentally, and emotionally.
I guess for young people, maybe particularly women, the media is a major conditioning force. I mean, you see pictures of young women have to look a certain way. There was all this zero shape, wasn't there, for a while?
Yeah.
And, I'd imagine if I was growing up as a young woman looking at that, they're saying basically, this is the way you have to look, or else you'll be labelled as ugly or whatever. What about all that conditioning? It must be huge for young women. Maybe you felt that as you were growing up.
Oh, absolutely. And that pressure, and it comes in such subtle ways, but also just part of our culture as well. So you look at magazines, you look at billboards, you look at television commercials, even, going to the supermarket, and the processed food that's on the supermarket shelves. If you eat this food, or you drink this drink, or you eat this whatever, then, you'll be successful, or you'll be well-liked, or you'll be popular. All that pressure is so intense in the culture that we live in. Yeah. And when you look at it, how many women even live up to those standards? And even the models themselves, they're so photoshopped. They don't look like that.
No, that's true. That's very true, actually. Yeah. Thank God for Photoshop.
Exactly. And it's these unrealistic expectations and this pressure for perfection that, as you say, it's just in our culture. And it's so deep, it's almost like it's hard to even find it, because it's just such a part of growing up, and especially now with social media as well. It's that culture's been taken online. So it's huge pressure. And the thing with the healing journey is it's about actually breaking free of all of that and coming back home to ourselves, and just looking at who are we as a person? What do we like? How do we like to exercise, or how do we like to eat? How do we like to move our bodies, and moving in a joyful way, or eating foods that really bring us joy and pleasure? It's not about, as you say, this perfectionism or the size zero, or being a certain shape. It's actually about being the very best version of ourselves.
Do you think some education around food is good? Because, just for me personally, I think that sugar and sweeteners and processed foods and, this is, for me, is not good, and I think for a lot of people it's not good. But for a lot of people, perhaps even dairy and gluten is something to avoid. And for some people, red meat, and not everyone wants to be vegetarian, but particularly the way meat is killed, or grazed, if people are going to eat meat, I imagine go free range or, factory. I just think of chickens, for example, this factory farming. It's dreadful, all that stuff we're taking into the body. What would you say as a general, I mean, people are different and we can't say this is what you should do, but as a general idea, what do you think about food education?
Well, I think it's great. And what I always say to people is the most important thing is to learn how to listen to our own bodies. And this is what we're not taught at school, is that our bodies are always talking to us. But the question is, are we listening? And that's what I really experienced in my own health breakdown was I'd had so many taps on the shoulder from my body to say, hey, Katrina, slow down. This isn't sustainable. You can't keep living like this. And, I was just burning the candle at both ends of the day. I was up early in the morning studying, and then I was out partying late at night, and literally just thought I could survive on a couple of hours of sleep. And, for a while, I actually did get away with it. But our bodies are always talking to us. And the key is for us to learn how our bodies are talking to us. Great. And we never taught this. We're not taught this at school, or we don't get taught in our families. But as we're on our healing journey, which is really a spiritual journey, it's that journey of really getting to know ourselves and our preferences and how to make good choices for ourselves. And as you say, with the whole food education, it's such a great question because, you just look at diets, and one day the media will say, oh, this diet's amazing, you'll lose weight and you'll get healthier and it'll be really good for your body. And then the next day or the next week or the next year, there'll be another study showing that diet actually is terrible for the health.
I know.
And it's so confusing.
I think for young people, I remember seeing this program on TV, and they had young people who were eating really badly, like really all processed and stuff. And they took one young girl out to the market, and they showed her green veg. Yes. And in this documentary, she picked up a lettuce and said, what is it? And the guy explained, this is a lettuce. It grows, naturally in the ground. And she said, and I remember this, she said, why would I eat anything that grows in the ground?
Wow,
and it was incredible. Amazing. And I think she was about 16, 17. But I guess that's a whole education side that people need to see. It's not just, Tesco's and Sainsbury's or whatever store you're going to, all the boxes and tins of food. There is natural food as well, isn't there?
Well, exactly. And eating real foods, I like to make the distinction between real foods and fake foods.
Yeah.
And our bodies know what real foods are. They can recognize them, they can digest them, they can assimilate, they can take the nutrients, and they can break real foods down. But fake foods, like processed, refined junk food, our bodies actually don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
They don't. It was created in a science laboratory, and so it's so foreign for our bodies. And so toxic. So I like to break it down to eat, 80% real food and 20% just lightly processed food, because obviously, we live in a society where we're busy, people are stressed, they don't have time to grow their own food like we used to. Even to say 100 years ago, all the food that we ate, or maybe even your grandparents, all their food was grown. But in today's society, who has time to do that? So just looking at the lightly processed food that we can get, food that's been perhaps like buying hummus. It's not, you're not going to find hummus growing in the ground, but it's been lightly processed. The body knows how to break that down.
Yeah.
But having some education for food would just be it almost seems criminal that we don't have it in our education system, because children should know what vegetables are and what fruit is. And if we don't learn it at that young age, what happens as we grow older? They don't eat it, and then they can't teach it to their children. So it creates this whole cycle of lack of education. And as you say, there's just so many interesting studies that have been done where children have been brought into the process of learning how to grow food. And if they are involved in it and active within the growing of the planting of the seeds and watching it grow and making the salads, they will eat everything. But it's just when it seems foreign to them, or it's strange, or it's weird, that's when they're not interested.
Absolutely.
And as you say, like with sugar, sugar's just, it's of course the taste buds love it, but it's so addictive.
Yeah, I
And
avoid sugar at all costs, actually.
yeah, exactly. Well, I think especially on the spiritual journey, on the healing journey, we're waking up, and it's like waking up to and seeing sort of these bigger companies and these bigger systems that are stacked against the individual. I mean, anytime I go into a supermarket, I just know I'm in enemy territory.
Yeah.
The supermarket has just been totally set up to take the money from my pocket and put it into their tills. And so I'm so aware of it. I mean, even right down to the temperature of the supermarket, where the aisles are placed. They know the size of the shopping trolley dictates the amount of money that people will spend, and just the amount of research that I actually worked for a large FMCG company straight out of university, and spent quite a lot of time in and out of supermarkets, and just the amount of highly sophisticated research that goes into product placement and marketing of food in a supermarket is, if most people knew about it, they would be absolutely blown away.
Right, I'm sure. So, Katrina, you mentioned earlier about listening to the body. Now, if somebody's kind of a bit disconnected from their body, what would you recommend how someone starts tuning into the natural wisdom of the body?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, because so many of us are literally living from our head and shoulders up. And I know that's exactly what happened to me just before I had my body breakdown. I was, I had my mental to-do list in the morning and just wake up, get out of bed and just go until I collapse at the end of the day. So really the big thing is taking that time to come back to ourselves. And I talk a lot about healing tools. Really, it's so important for us to use the healing tools that are available. And so the key thing is really to take time to be with ourselves, and whatever form that takes, whether that's journaling, whether it's meditation, whether it's having like a yoga practice or some sort of spiritual practice that we can come back to again and again. And not a spiritual practice that somebody else has told you that you should have, but like, what is the spiritual practice for you?
Yeah.
Some people, it might be cacao ceremonies, which is like chocolate and it's like a party and having friends together, and it's like a celebration. For some people, their spiritual practice might be, they don't want to be around anybody else. It's like a meditation practice. Might be walking in the forest or hiking or being with animals, but it's like, what's that spiritual practice that you have that really allows you to connect back to yourself?
Beautiful. Why is meditation so important as a healing tool with eating and losing weight?
Yeah, well, meditation is one of my favorite healing tools.
Yeah.
I've taught yoga all over the world, and always within my yoga classes, I always include meditation. And it's amazing, because even if people are so burnt out, if their adrenals are totally depleted and exhausted, and they're flat on their back even, a lot of the practices are completely not possible. But meditation is, everybody can do meditation. And I actually had an amazing experience how I even discovered meditation. It was when I was recovering, and I was spending a lot of time in bed, and in the back of my head was like, I should be exercising or I should be moving, but I just didn't have the energy to even leave the house. And so I just started visualizing and imagining myself exercising, and started visualizing myself moving and seeing myself walking, and it just turned into this beautiful meditation that I could do from my sick bed. And no one really told me about it, but I just kind of discovered it, and it was just made me feel so good. And it was just, it created like great thoughts inside me, and it created great feelings. And what was really interesting, Steve, is that before my body breakdown, I'd had such horrible, critical, negative things to say about myself to myself. So my self-talk was so negative. And it was through my meditation practice that I was really able just to totally change this self-talk and change the relationship that I had with my body. I used to hate my body, And I thought, everything was wrong with my body. I hated specific body parts, and I hated the way it looked. And it was really through meditation and my meditation practice that I was just able to totally transform my whole relationship with my body and with myself. So that's why I think that meditation is just such a key part in this healing journey for anyone who's really learning how to change that relationship that they have with themselves, and learning how to love themselves and create that connection back to themselves and speak to ourselves like we would a best friend. There's some of the things that some of my clients have told me that they say to themselves. They confess they would never say that to anybody else, but yet unconsciously they've been saying it to themselves.
Wow.
So I think meditation is just a really powerful way where people can just totally transform their relationship back to themselves.
Well, I know you're offering a whole program of healing meditations for natural weight loss, and you're offering the first one for free. And I'm going to send out a link with this podcast. Can you just say something about this meditation you're offering for people for free?
Yeah, great. So the meditation program is based on my book, Losing Weight is a Healing Journey. And it's a 7-day healing meditation program. But there's 2 meditations, one for the morning and then one for the evening. And the morning meditation is a slightly shorter meditation, but it's just great for getting up energized, focused and inspired, and really focused on all the good things that you want to create through the day. And then the evening meditation is just a lovely one, just to let go of the day, let go of stress, release anything that you don't want to take into the night or the next day. And so it's just a lovely way just to calm the nervous system and really let ourselves sleep peacefully so that we can wake up refreshed the next day.
Wonderful.
So, so the whole program is just a lovely way just to release stress and let go of stuff that is no longer serving us.
Well, I will send out a link, and Katrina's website is katrinalovesenn.com. Katrina, as always, lovely speaking with you.
It's great to speak with you, Steve, and thanks everyone for listening in at home. It's really nice to be here with you.